This right here is an 837 USD dollar payment, and it was my first freelance client I ever got about a year and a half ago on November 15th, 2023. Now, I didn't know what I was doing. I was living in a hostel in New Zealand, working as a waiter, and all I wanted to do was travel, and I made it happen. Now I am a full-time remote worker and I love what I do. So I just want to show other people how they can do it as well. So in this video, I'm going to show exactly how I did to get my own first freelance client. But if you want more efficient ways to do it, then I recommend you watch the other videos on the channel. So when I started, I realized that I needed to provide a service. I needed to provide value to businesses in exchange for money. But the problem was that I didn't know any services. I didn't have anything of value that I could offer. So at first I had to learn how to do that. So I looked online, I watched a ton of YouTube videos on what services to learn, and I settled on social media management. Now, for those of you who aren't freelancing yet, there's a ton of them. There's copywriting, video editing, AI, etc. There's a ton of them. Now, I was like, well, I know a bit of video editing. I know a bit of Lightroom. I'm sure I can write copy. I'm sure I could social media manage. And that's why I lost my first client, because I didn't even know how to schedule posts. But I started off with YouTube, and I started off with Latasha James, who is one of the most well-known social media managers on YouTube. And I watched a ton of her content to learn how to actually schedule posts, how to engage, and how to edit different types of videos. So once I learned that, I was like, okay, now I know a skill. Now I actually have to find a niche and I have to reach out to clients. So what I found is that if you want to reach out to the entire market, if you don't pick a niche, it's extremely difficult to stand out, especially as a beginner. Why? Well, because as a beginner, you're competing against everyone, and there's always going to be someone who has more experience than you or someone with lower prices. So by focusing on the one niche that I chose, which was hotels and Airbnbs, I marketed myself as the only problem solver, as the number one solution to their problem, which was getting more bookings. Once I decided on my niche, I was like, okay, now how do I reach out to them? And I decided on one platform, which was Instagram. Why? Well, because I just knew that I could pick up my phone and reach out to them. There wasn't too much reasoning. So I just opened Instagram and I reached out to hundreds of them. So I would do 100 outreach, 100 messages every single day. And I was working full time. And you can only send 10 per hour on Instagram. So I would wake up super early at like 5:30 in the morning. I would send 10 an hour until I had to go work. I would come back from work and I would send 10 an hour after work. And I would reply to messages during my work breaks between the time that I was bringing food and like having food, because I was working as a waiter. So I would send out messages like this. I would say, hey guys, your park, your Airbnb, your hotel is stunning. I'm a video editor who creates content for rentals like you. I had never created that in my life. And I was like, I made you a free monthly content calendar for posting content. And I still think this is a great way to go because you're offering value up front. So if you are offering social media management or copywriting or whatever, it's a great way if you offer a VSL or a free lead magnet or something that's going to be useful to the customer. Now, once you do that, they're more likely to check it out. You can send them a Loom video. You can send them a VSL that's tailored, that's personalized to them. And then they'll have there's more likelihood of them actually hopping on a call with you and being interested in your service. So that's what I did. I did this every single day. This keeps going for weeks and weeks and weeks. Well, maybe not weeks, but days and days and days. And finally, I got sales calls. So I lost my first sales call. I lost my second sales call because I didn't have a clue what I was doing. But eventually, I made it happen. I got my first freelance client. I think it took me about 2 weeks to get it. And I was so happy. I was ecstatic. I remember going to work and being like the happiest person in the world. I got there and I was telling everyone how I was going to like leave the job and how I made more money in a day than like I made working at the restaurant in a week. Anyway, I was so absolutely stoked. And next step is, before you can actually get there, you need to make a portfolio. Now, how did I make a portfolio considering I didn't have any experience? Well, I made a fake portfolio. So I did free work for people, sent it to the actual businesses, and added that to my portfolio. So I went to my ideal client. And since I was working with Airbnbs and hotels, my ideal client was a hotel/Airbnb right here, Dunlap Hollow Cabins. So what I did is I went to their page and I found different reels and videos that I found interesting. I copied the link and I then went to the Instagram downloader. From here, I downloaded their video, cut it up using different TikTok trends, repurposed it and sent it back over to them and put them into my portfolio. Now, to show you what my first portfolio looked like, this is exactly what it was. Now, the portfolio wasn't great, but what I have to say that I did well is that I targeted my market specifically. So I said luxury hotel and Airbnb marketer. So everyone who saw this automatically made me stand out from all the other marketers in the world, because every single Airbnb, like so many Airbnbs, reach back out to me and were like, I'm so interested in what you have to say just because you're specialized in this. So specialization and niching down is the way to go. So I had a little about section. I had a services section, which was not what I ended up offering at all. Like I never blogged for anybody in my life. I had statistics. And since I had barely any content and barely any experience, I literally made mood boards. Like I followed this tutorial on YouTube on mood boards to like so that it seemed like I made content for people when I didn't. And then I finally had the reels and TikToks that I repurposed from previous brands and showcased it as my work, which was like kind of, but you have to start somewhere. And I then had the strategy that I was going to put into place with them and the pricing, which I eventually ended up negotiating with all of my clients because I didn't have a clue what I was doing and I didn't have a clue how to package. So yeah, I guess the point of this video was to show you how I did it. There's a lot of more efficient ways to do it nowadays. So look at my channel if you want to see some more videos. Now I just do warm outreach, which means reaching out directly to businesses on job boards who are actively looking for a freelancer instead of just doing hundreds of cold outreach a single day. But you got to do what you got to do. So watch my other videos. And if you want to become a remote worker or a freelancer, follow along because I'll be posting more videos like this.